Shanghai. It's been 6 years and now I'm back. This time I brought my Leica M6 with a 35mm f1.4 pre-A lens. Walking around in downtown Shanghai, take street photography on 35mm black and white film. This video gonna be a little long with more than 100 of black and white photos. I hope you make it to the end. And this video isn't a typical travel guide vlog. No fancy skyline shots of the Bund or Pudong. Although there will be bits of history talking, but it's just a video of street photography of Shanghai through my lens. It's my Shanghai. I brought few rolls of Kodak Panatomic-X ISO 40 black and white aerial film. I want something harsher, something imperfect and not elegant. But I didn't expect was I shoot so much. I burned through all Panatomic film in just 2 days, so I went to the camera gear market in town, grabbing a few rolls of Fomapan 100 instead, because I couldn't find Panatomic-X there. The sequence of the photos and the videos are slightly mixed up. They look similar but not the same. I'll label each image with which one film I used. Here's a map of Shanghai. You see this big river? That's the Huangpu River, and the skinny one, Suzhou Creek. But this map, kinda boring, right? I show you a more interesting one, a map from 100 years ago, when Shanghai was in foreign concessions. There is a place I'm missing, so I'm going to north first. You see the north of Suzhou Creek and Huangpu River on this map. It was the Japanese concession, established in 1870. See this road? Scott Road. Today its name is Sanying Road. I know this place very well. Most of houses in this neighborhood haven't changed in decades. In 1943, the Wang Jingwei regime renamed it Sanying, same as a place in Japan, Sanying Chiho. And also you can find this alley here, still keeps a name that reminds people of Japan's Nikko Toshogu shrine. Yeah, but here the houses though, they don't look Japanese style at all. More European, I think. Kinda British layout. Some houses with larger, beautiful gardens here were handed over to high-ranking naval officers. They are still behind the tall walls today, pretty much untouched. This street, built in 1911, still doesn't have a bus road, and there are not many shops. These photos I took here back in 1994. It's always been a quiet place, full of locals. You'd hear women chatting as they return from the market. Some across courtyards about food price and quality today. In the summer evenings, people sit outside in the alley, eating watermelon and play chess. That was life, simple, warm. heading south along North Sichuan Road. And this bridge, it have a Japanese name from long time ago, Yokohama Bridge. Keep walking south and you'll hit the Suzhou Creek. This building here used to be the city's post office. We called it the Post and Telecom Building. Now it's a museum. Back in the day, Suzhou Creek was disgusting. Yes, it smelled like shit with black water, honestly. Here are some clips from one of my favorite films, Suzhou River. This is exactly what it looked like in 80s and 90s. All these bridges linking the north to the downtown core in South Bank. On August 13, 1937, war broke out between China and Japan right here in Shanghai. The Republic of China, now the Taiwan government, threw in 800,000 soldiers. Japan had 270,000. The battle stretched from the Severs all the way to the north bank of Suzhou Creek. Meanwhile, people on the south bank watched like it was theater, live show literally, because South Bank was international settlement. In 1863, the British and American concessions merged into this area. You can even see from the old flag. Also was include many European countries. Eventually, the Japanese did take whole Shanghai and eastern China, except international settlement. They didn't cross the bridges until the Pacific War started. So from 1937 to 1941, international settlement and the French concession area in central Shanghai had a nickname, the Lonely Island. Once you cross the bridges, you enter the heart of the city. But we're not crossing just yet. Instead, let's walk a little further along the creek to the biggest steel bridge, Waibaidu Bridge. Once we are across, we will hit the bund.
Still your memories linger near me, chiming bells of long ago.
Waibaidu Bridge was first built in 1856. Back then, it was called the Wallace Bridge. Also was be called the Garden Bridge in English, because that large garden of former British Consulate General is right by the bridge. For a while, I used to pass it every day by city bus, and I've always liked it. It had that storybook nostalgia feel, even now. After we cross it, we are in the Shanghai's spectacular street, the Bund. This is probably the most iconic part of Shanghai, at least the version you've seen on postcards. Colonial-era buildings lined up feels like you have accidentally walked into Europe. Decades ago, they were plastered with tacky signs and neon ads that totally ruined the vibe. Now they've all been restored to their former glory. This area was originally British turf. In 1856, it became a shared concession between a bunch of Western countries. That's when all these foreign banks started putting up their flagship buildings. This was once the British Consulate General. I will route back to that spot later. Behind it is a district called the Bund Origin. You see this tall building here? Now it's the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China. It used to be the Yokohama Special Bank, built in 1924. In 2024, right on its 100th birthday, it got a full-on renovation. This one used to be Citibank. This intersection right here is the heart of Shanghai commerce, Nanjing Road. On both corners, the Peace Hotel, formerly the Cathay Hotel. Inside the hotel, it finally looks the way it did a century ago. A street behind the Peace Hotel, it's actually more interesting, kind of has a Manhattan photo vibe. Lots of movies were filmed here, so now it's become a popular spot for TikTok influencer. People say Shanghai is turning into a big live stream checking city. Kind of funny, but kind of true. You may notice some damage from after 1949 that's harder to fix, but most of it's been beautifully restored. This was once the HSBC headquarters. So here's the plan. I'll keep walking south along the bund, take a turn onto Fuzhou Road, and explore the neighborhood just behind all this grandeur. Then we will loop north, back towards the Suzhou Creek, and complete a nice little walking circle. This Spanish restaurant, it wasn't here before. Probably you can get both. Here the historic street and the crazy monster buildings of Pudong in the same frame. Now I'm on Jiangxi Road. Maybe I was right turn on Sichuan Road, heading north again. This place, I like it very much. It's the famous pan-fried buns. I used to grab lunch here all time. This is the taste of Shanghai. It's pretty local, not some out-of-town version trying to fake it. right past the church, people waiting here for photos. I have never seen anyone take a selfie here before. No. My memory is too old. It's the memory before the internet, passing here on a bicycle.
我这一次回伦敦，如果我到时候想，那不透风了啊？透风啊！
This area is East Beijing Road and right next to the Bund. They call it the Bund Origin. It's one of the most historic spots in the city. Remember the British consulate I mentioned earlier? Right after we crossed the bridge, that's just around the corner here. It was the very first foreign building to go up in this part of Shanghai. And just like that, we are back at Suzhou Creek. You see that post at the telecom building over there? Yeah, that's where we were standing earlier, on the other side of the bridge.
Woke my soul from gentle slumber, listening to your echoes fair.
I have no idea why they painted these murals depicting old life scenes in alley on the walls of soon-to-be demolished Shikumen houses. Do they think it looks nice? Let me explain about Shikumen. It's a traditional Shanghainese architectural style combining Western and Chinese elements that first appeared in the 1860s. That Longtang means Shanghai-style alley. Nanshi, the old city south of the Bund, has seen the biggest changes. 100 years ago, this area wasn't part of foreign concession. It was the real native heart of Shanghai, because the Chinese city or old city, packed with narrow lanes and crowded homes. It didn't have the elegance of the concession architecture. And maybe that's why today the government doesn't see much value in preserving it. These old alleyways are vanishing fast. I used to walk around the old lanes with my camera. Even though they were not like the alleys of French areas, they were still unmistakably deeply Shanghai. This time I just went to some of the neighborhoods I used to walk in. Unfortunately, they are disappearing. This little street used to be run-down but full of life. I was shooting some photos back then. Now it's been cleared out, half toned down already. The typical story goes like this. Residents who've had rental rights for generations are given compensation by the government or developers. Then they leave behind the Longtang they once hated but now can't help missing. That classic Shanghai Longtang vibe fades further and further away. The Confucian Temple area, once a heaven for bulk markets, has been emptied out. All that's left are temporary renters and one lonely Shaoxing restaurant still hanging on. But the people who used to live here, they come back sometimes just to look, just to feel.
冬天了嘛，房子拆脱，房子没上，那么人没，老早子比生活多少方便。现在是买眼物事真头痛啊！再过去老西门，老西门原来的痕迹基本上，现在我搿听只恐怕最后还是要拆脱。按照社会发展趋势呢，搿种情况子是应该拆脱，老百姓的生活条件是应该改善的。
Most Longtang have these metal gates at the entrance. My friend's mother once told a story. Interesting. When she was a little girl in 1949, she lived in one of these Longtang in Central area. As the People's Liberation Army, the Communist Army, breaked into Shanghai, in one night she snuck downstairs, curious, and peeked out through the metal gate. And what she saw scared her so much, she bolted straight back upstairs. Why? She had never seen anything like it. Thousands homeless people in ragged clothes sleeping on the streets over there. Actually, those were soldiers of PLA. They slept on the streets. Another friend of mine, whose father was a medic in that very army, attacked Shanghai, told me they were so unfamiliar with the city life. They thought light bulbs might help them light cigarettes. In some way, Shanghai got lucky. The city wasn't shelled to pieces. It was just a civil war.
Sweet chiming bells, sweet chiming bells, ye murmur soft.
Walking along Fuxing Road and the nearby street in the former French concession, you might feel like you've somehow wandered into a quiet corner of France. Before 1943, the streets even had French names. Huaihai Road, this main commercial street, was called Avenue Joffre. And the Fuxing Road was Route Lafayette. It's pretty beautiful, right? This is one of the most beautiful areas in Shanghai, and thankfully it hasn't changed too much. That's mostly because many of the houses, buildings, are protected as historical architecture. The ones that are not, they've been steadily torn down, especially the old Shikumen lands. I used to walk here all the time, and today I still do, step by step, tracing my old road towards Fuxing Road. Xintiandi area is located on the east side of Fuxing Road, a classic example of how history and modern life can blend. They transformed the old Longtang houses into a complex of shops, restaurants, cafes. These photos was taken here in 1994, back when the idea of restoring older lands instead of demolishing them was still something new. Some Longtang style was iconic, not the Shikumen lands type in south, also not be protected type. So what does a real iconic Longtang lands feel like? Luckily, there's still one nearby that's survived, at least for now. It's the same alley as the Xintiandi before transformed. Just off Danshui Road, near Xintiandi, there is a Longtang that still holds on to that atmosphere. This photo is from a decade ago, and honestly, not much has changed. People still live here. It's not some preserved museum land, it's the real deal. From there, I head to Fuxing Park and keep walking west along Fuxing Road. Actually, this whole area is beautiful. Not just Fuxing Road, but also Nanchang Road, Shinan Road, Ruijin Road, all filled with old trees. These trees were first introduced to China from France and cultivated in the French concession. Shanghainese usually call them French plane trees. Quiet corner and unexpected charm. Just like Sanying Road in North, before 1949, many of foreigners and a lot of Chinese families who lived here fled the city, leaving behind some truly special, elegant European-style homes with bigger gardens. Honestly, I have no idea who lives in them now. I think even people who owned one of these before 1949, political movements afterward would make it nearly impossible to keep. On Sinan Road, there's a quite little cafe hidden in one of these houses. It's filled with nostalgic Shanghai things, vinyl records, old books, vintage furniture. Not many people come here, maybe because the coffee is a bit pricey, but it's so peaceful. Of course, this street has always been peaceful.
手，反正伊离比我大啦。我从小就来到广州啊，6个号头就来了，从来没搬过，对吧？从来没搬过，等到现在，阿拉养不农了，后头再搬到里滩去，外头里向拼起来就有90人，6个号头来个，就来达到广州啊，到现在75岁。